Yeah, baby. We are back and we are black here on WLTH 1370M. That is 92.7 in the FM dial. Folks, you may have heard the news that Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the loudest pro-war voices in the Senate, fell silent permanently this Saturday evening as he passed away from a brief and sudden illness. And as is the custom, many have stated that you should not speak ill of the dead. Well, that's not the custom of Straight Out of the Cannon. Welcome to history's greatest monsters. Yes. Yes. Well, who was Lindsey Graham exactly, and why was he one of history's greatest monsters? Well, let's start from the beginning, at least the relevant part. He was first elected to Congress in 1994. In 94, Graham, along with other Republicans elected that year, promised to serve more than 12 years in office. Mind you, he died in office 32 years later. In 1997, Graham was one of 18 Republicans who co-sponsored a resolution by Bob Barr that sought to launch an impeachment inquiry into President Bill Clinton. So this is when he first came to national prominence as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, as a House impeachment manager during the Clinton era, basically during when they were trying to impeach Bill Clinton. Now, this is important here because Lindsey Graham and the Republicans during that era, they presented themselves as these moral, oh my God, Bill Clinton is such a horrible role model. Bill Clinton, he, oh my God, he had sex, oh my God, with a woman who wasn't his wife. He ended his life being a toady for a man who cheated on his first wife with his second wife with his third wife, and his third wife with a porn star while she was pregnant. And so that tells you about exactly all the morals and values and cares about being a role model that Lindsey Graham had. After the September 11th attacks, Graham would vote for the Patriot Act and the authorization of use of military force of 2001. I play the clip regularly of Barbara Lee, the one person in Congress out of 435 people who had the courage to stand up against the Bush administration's AUMF back in 2001. I probably play it this year again because I play it every year for the anniversary of September 11th. I say it's the greatest example of courage I have ever seen from a politician in my life. Lindsey Graham was not that. He voted for it, and he also voted for the Iraq War resolution. Now, a lot of Lindsey Graham's warmongering was just standard Republican boilerplate throughout the 2000s. Of course, he supported Iraq. He supported Afghanistan. He supported Libya, Syria, Somalia, anything the United States can do to bomb. He was going to support it. What really brought Lindsey Graham to prominence was when he ran for president in 2015. And he was one of the main people, when I say one of the main people, to come out against Donald Trump and talk about how Donald Trump was a horrible person. He called Donald Trump a jackass. Donald Trump attacked his friend John McCain and said that he wasn't a war hero. And so, of course, Lindsey Graham, being his friend, would come to his aid and come to his defense. Now, Trump would react to Graham and call him an idiot, and he actually revealed Lindsey Graham's personal cell phone number at a campaign rally, telling people to call Lindsey Graham on the phone. So this is how Lindsey Graham felt about Donald Trump, the candidate, in 2015.
I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you like this guy. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent my party. He doesn't represent the values that the men and women who wear the uniform are fighting for. I think he's a kook. I think he's crazy. I think he's unfit for office. And I'm a Republican, and he's not. He's not a conservative Republican. He's an opportunist. He's not fit to be president of the United States. He's disparaged women. He has an 80% disapproval rating among Hispanics. At the end of the day, he would be the most flawed nominee in the history of the Republican Party. He accuses most illegal immigrants of being rapists and drug dealers. He plays into the idea that maybe Obama is a Muslim. 70% of us in South Carolina believe that Donald Trump is not a conservative Republican. We think that he's unfit for office, that he would be a terrible commander-in-chief. He doesn't have the temperament or judgment. I think Donald Trump is a political car wreck, and people slow down and look at the wreck, but they eventually move on.
So that's Lindsey Graham from 2015 and 2016. This is the man he spent the rest of his life shilling for and being a lackey of. So it is very easy to see that in his heart, he knew who Donald Trump was. He knew what Donald Trump was. He made a decision, a conscious decision, to be a lackey to a person who had all of these values and beliefs that he claims that he didn't support. He would say about Trump, he's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He doesn't represent the Republican Party. I don't think he has a clue about anything. He's empowering radical Islam. You know how to make America great again. Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. I'd rather lose without Donald Trump than win with him. Those are Lindsey Graham's words about Donald Trump. In May of 2016, Lindsey Graham actually tweeted, "If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed, and we will deserve it." In November of 2016, Lindsey Graham didn't even vote for Donald Trump. He didn't even vote for him. He voted for Evan McMullin, who was the independent candidate in 2016. So we see a person who is so cynical that he would completely discard his true feelings, his true beliefs about Donald Trump in order to suck up the power. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room. There's a reason they called Lindsey Lady G. There's a reason they called him Lady G. It was well known. His proclivities were very well known in Washington, D.C. This is a man who spent most of his career being an in-the-closet bigot against gay people. He voted for the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996, which became a federal law that defined marriage as one man and one woman. In November of 2022, he voted against the Respect for Marriage Act, which provides federal recognition for same-sex marriages in the United States. Throughout his career, he was a staunch opponent to the advancement of LGBTQRSTUV people, opposing marriage equality, advocating against the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which actually required military service members to hide their sexuality, voting against workplace discrimination protections on transgender rights. He was somebody who spent his entire career, most of his career, with everyone knowing he was gay. Spent his entire career advocating against the cause of gay people. Now, you even have people like trans author and Jesse James Rose, who details an experience of being paid by Lindsey Graham for sex work prior to his gender transition. So you can put hypocrite on the list as well of things that you could say about Lindsey Graham. During his life, Lindsey Graham advocated for either starting endless wars or getting involved with so many wars, virtually every war this country has ever been involved with across the world. He was one of the main people who was able to convince Donald Trump to launch an illegal war in Iran without any authorization whatsoever from U.S. Congress. Lindsey Graham was a man who regularly advocating dropping a bomb on one of the poorest places on the planet, the Gaza Strip, dropping a nuke on a population of 2 million people in an area the size of New York Central Park.
So when we were faced with destruction as a nation after Pearl Harbor, fighting the Germans and the Japanese, we decided to end the war by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. That was the right decision. Give Israel the bombs they need to end the war they can't afford to lose and work with them to minimize casualties. Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
It wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. And 80 years later, Japan is still feeling the effects of having nuclear weapons dropped on them. Generations of Japanese people grew up with birth defects, just like in Iraq. You still have babies being born with birth defects from the bombs that we dropped on Iraq, even though they weren't nuclear weapons. There was something after World War II called the Geneva Convention, which was supposed to set rules to war where you didn't collectively punish whole populations for the actions of their leaders. Lindsey Graham apparently did not believe in that. He was just a ghoul, a bloodthirsty ghoul. Listen to how gleeful he is about killing people.
So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Literally, with glee, he's describing killing all the right people. This is after they killed 168 schoolgirls in Iran, by the way. We're killing all the right people. We just killed 168 schoolgirls in Iran. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs during World War II. Look how happy he sounds. Listen to how happy he sounds. I guess you guys aren't listening over the air. Listen to how happy he sounds about killing innocent people in Iran. And here's the thing. Lindsey Graham wasn't even America first. He wasn't even America first. When there was a hurricane in North Carolina, all Lindsey Graham wanted to talk about was Israel. That's it. That's all he wanted to talk about, was doing the bidding of the blue and white country.
Elon Musk for that.
You know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them, destroy them, a second Holocaust in the making. And Biden says be proportional. What is the proportional response to people who want to kill you and your family? Gosh. They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends to keep the war over there from coming here. The world is...
He was asked about a hurricane happening in America, and he turns the subject to Israel. I wonder how the people of South Carolina feel about that. Anyway, but at least he got the thing he wanted to see most before he died. Killing innocent children in Iran. That is something he had been advocating for years. Now, of course, Lindsey Graham, being one of the worst human beings living, now dead, now one of the worst humans dead, did not deter the Washington generals of politics, the Democrats, from celebrating a man who never met a war that he didn't want to send your kids to. He did not have any children because, as we talked about earlier, Lady G. Senator Adam Schiff from California, Democrat, said that he would most remember Graham for his sense of humor and how he deployed it to move his policy positions forward. Oh, isn't that nice? Elizabeth Warren similarly said of Graham that even though we disagreed on much, he was always willing to negotiate with humor and wit. My heart goes out to his loved ones. Senator Andy Kim said that he was saddened to hear news of Graham's death, which he said came as a real shock. Now, mind you, Lindsey Graham called for Greta Thunberg, the activist, to be killed simply because she tried to feed kids in Palestine. This is how they talk about him, the so-called left-wing liberal party. Now, ironically, some of the people who've actually called out Lindsey Graham the best and have actually had the best assessments of his life and legacy have been Republicans. Steve Schmidt wrote that Graham was a simple, tragic man who lacked a moral core. That's already 100% true. We just heard what Lindsey Graham had to say about Trump before he decided to suck up to power. And most importantly, Marjorie Taylor Greene just unloaded the clip on Lindsey Graham. Now, ask yourself why Democrats aren't saying this. Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene saying this, but not the people you guys vote for every few years?
I disagreed wholeheartedly with many of his policies. He was a neocon warmonger. He was a murderer. He wanted to wipe out and kill many innocent people in Iran, in Gaza, in Lebanon. He supported war more than anything. He never wanted peace. The only time he may have been interested in peace was because this war is hurting the midterms for President Trump and Republicans. However, one thing about Lindsey Graham that we can all say for sure is he was a dedicated Zionist. And that's why he worked so diligently to send as much money as possible, weapons as possible for Israel. But he was also, he may have been an elected U.S. senator, but he really was the greatest lobbyist that the military-industrial complex could ever have holding power in Washington. And his state, South Carolina, has over 400 military contractors, over 400 that Lindsey Graham made sure that got all types of contracts, grants, got all types of U.S. tax dollars to continue their work to serve the military-industrial complex. So it is an interesting thing of how everyone's being shamed and told you can't say anything negative about Lindsey Graham. Look, we can say two things. We can say, oh, yeah, he was a delightful person to be around. But at the same time, I disagreed with him adamantly on many, many issues. And it's okay to say both of those things.
Yep. Now ask yourself, why exactly isn't AOC, why isn't all the Democrats in Congress, why aren't they saying that? Huh? Why are they not saying that? Why does it take a Republic? Why are Republicans actually being more honest about who Lindsey Graham was than the people who are supposed to be resistant to this administration, this criminal administration? Two wings of the same bird, folks. Two wings of the same bird. That's all I have to say. Now, I do know that there's been some rumors that Russia supposedly killed Lindsey Graham. And if that is indeed true, let me just say this. Vladimir Putin will be even more popular than he already is. Much of the world has already sided against the United States and with China and Russia. If they actually did the world a favor by getting rid of one of the most violent, ruthless, criminal individuals who has ever walked the halls of Congress, then once again, Vladimir Putin's done us all a favor. Just saying, folks. Just saying.